Psorinum from Allen's Keynote. Already dealt with in the book, some additional symptoms of import are also noted below. It is the nosode of Sora. Hahnemann availed himself of the seropurulent matter of a scabies vesicle. Broadly speaking, it is soric virus which is in the first instance triturated and then subjected to a process of potentization. Driven to despair with excessive itching, a weeping mood, the patient often weeps for hours without knowing a cause for it. She cannot control her thoughts. Vertigo, the patient reels in walking. Congestion of blood to head immediately after dinner. Humid, scabby itching, offensive smelling eruption on head, full of lice, glandular swellings. The scalp full of dandruff, with or without itching. The hair of the head frequently falls out, most in front, on the crown and the top of the head. Bald spots or beginning baldness of certain parts. Hair feels as if it were dried, hair falling out abundantly, especially on the forefront and on the top of the head or in the center of the crown, or baldness of some places. Eyes become gummy, eyelids swollen, inflamed, bloated, child rubs eyes, puffy, greatly swollen, closely pressed together, thickened, tendency to styes, itching, especially in the canthi. The canthi are full of pus-like mucus. The edges of the eyelids full of dry mucus. Yellowness of the white of the eyes. Obscuration of the crystalline lens, cataract, squinting. Far-sightedness, he sees far in the distance but cannot clearly distinguish small objects held close. Short-sightedness, he can see even small objects by holding them close to the eye, but the more distant the object is, the more indistinct it appears, and at a great distance he does not see it. False vision, he sees objects double or manifold or only the one half of them. Night blindness, he sees well in daytime but in the twilight he cannot see at all. Blindness by day, he can only see well during the twilight. Amaurosis, uninterrupted dimness of vision increased finally even to blindness. Ulceration of membrana tympani, itching in the ears, child can hardly be kept from picking or boring in the meatus. Humid soreness behind ear. Scurfs on the ears and humid scurfs behind ear. Crawling sensation and itching in the ear. Running from ear of thin, usually ill-smelling pus. Deafness of various degrees, even up to total deafness, with or without noise in the ear, occasionally worse according to the weather. Swelling of the parotid glands, polypi of the nose, usually with the loss of the power of smelling. These may also extend through the nasal passages into the fauces. Fetid smell in the nose. Nostrils frequently ulcerated, surrounded with pimples and scabs. Fluent coryza very often or almost constantly, also in some cases uninterruptedly. Chronic catarrh, constant dropping from the posterior nares awakens the patient at night. Hawking quantities of lumpy mucus with temporary relief from sensation of fullness. Mucus in nose would dry like white of an egg, needing to be forcibly removed. Psorinum 200 cured. Sweat of face with general heat. Coppery eruption on face, frequent redness of face and heat, sallow, yellowish complexion. The red of the lips is quite pale. Swelling of the lips, especially of the upper lip. Eruptions of the face of innumerable kinds. Looseness of the teeth, they feel so loose, fierce, they may fall out. Worse from touch, especially from teeth. Gums ulcerated, bleeding. Gums bleeding at a slight touch. Toothache of innumerable varieties with varying causes of excitation. She cannot remain in bed owing to toothache. On the tongue, painful blisters and sore places. Fetid smell from the mouth. Constant flow of saliva, especially when speaking, particularly in the morning. Continual spitting of saliva. Tonsillitis, submaxillary gland swollen, fetid otorrhea. Ulcerated sore throat. Immediately after dinner, congestion of blood to head. Eructations, sour, rancid, tasting and smelling like rotten eggs. Room is filled with an offensive odor. Eructations with taste of the food several hours after eating. Eructations sour, either fasting or after food, especially after milk. Eructation putrid or moldy, early in the morning. A sort of hunger, but when she eats ever so little, she feels at once satiated and full. In the pit of the stomach there is sensation of swelling, painful to the touch. Sensation of coldness in the pit of the stomach. Chronic hepatitis, chronic induration of spleen, inguinal hernia, hernia sac infiltrated. Chronic abdominal affections, after meals very tired and sleepy, after meals as if intoxicated, after meals palpitation of heart. Inguinal hernias often painful while speaking or singing. Swellings of the inguinal glands which sometimes turn into suppuration. Horribly offensive, nearly painless, almost involuntary, dark and watery stool, only at night and most towards morning. Involuntary stool during sleep. Chronic diarrhea, offensive stools. Prolapsus recti with intense burning of the parts. Constipation, delayed stools sometimes for several days, not frequently with repeated ineffectual urging to stool. Passage of round worms from the anus. Discharge of pieces of tapeworms. Clay-colored stool. Polypi in the rectum. Cholera infantum, obstinate, which seem to defy the best selected remedy. Stool very thin and watery, dirty greenish, smelling like carrion. Psorinum 4 cm, 1 dose. In 2 hours, child went to sleep and in 4 hours was well without repetition. Involuntary urine cannot hold it. Vesical paresis, typhus. Painful retention of urine. He cannot hold the urine for any length of time. It presses on the bladder and passes off while he walks, sneezes, coughs or laughs. Frequent micturition at night. He has to get up frequently at night for that purpose. Urine passes off in sleep involuntarily. The urine quickly deposits a sediment. The urine discharged is at once turbid like whey. With the urine there is discharged from time to time a red sand. Dark yellow urine, brown urine, blackish urine. Urine with blood particles, also at times complete hematuria. Prostatic fluid discharged before urinating. After suppressed gonorrhea, rheumatism, lameness, conjunctivitis with granulations, intense photophobia, pain darting around through head, either sensitive to light. Chronic painless discharge from urethra leaving yellow stain upon linen. Gleat of 12 years duration. Psychotic excrescences on edges of prepuce with itching and burning. Hydrocele, discharge of prostatic fluid after urination but especially after a difficult stool, also almost constant dripping of the same. Nocturnal passage of semen, too frequent, 1, 2 or 3 times a week or even every night. Itching of the scrotum which is sometimes beset with pimples and scabs. One or both of the testicles chronically swollen or showing a knotty induration. Dwindling, diminution, disappearance of one or both testicles. Induration and enlargement of the prostatic gland. Pain as from contusion in the testicles. sterility, impotence without any organic defect in the sexual parts, metrorrhagia, ulcers of the labia, menses of very fetid blood, polypi in the vagina, mammary cancer. Dwindling of the breast or excessive enlargement of the same with retroceding nipples. Talking is very fatiguing. Weak voice, trembling. Constant hoarseness and aphony for years, he cannot speak a loud word. Short breath or want of breath. Chest expands with great difficulty, cannot get breath. Dyspnea, worse when sitting up to write, better when lying down. Congestion to head after dinner, great despondency, worse the nearer arms are brought to body. Asthma, as if he would die, precursor of hydrothorax. Asthma, loud, difficult at times, also sibilant respiration. Asthma on moving with or without cough. Asthma in attacks lasting several weeks. Cough, making the patient up after the first brief sleep. Cough worst after awaking in the morning. Cough worst after eating. Cough causing a sensation of soreness in the chest or at times stitches in the side of the chest or the abdomen. Attacks of spasmodic cough, whole chest feels sore. Chest symptoms better when lying down. Pain in the chest as if the chest were about to burst. Burning pain in the chest, frequent stitches in the chest with or without cough. Excessive backache, severe backache as if bruised, cannot straighten out. Backache with constipation, backache after suppressed eruptions, trembling of hands and feet, herpes in the palms of hands, itching tetter. Nails brittle, large swelling about ankle, gout in lower extremities, caries, rachitis. The joints as it were stiff with painful difficult motion, the ligaments seem too short. Joints painful on motion. Attacks of sudden heaviness of the arms and legs. Sudden bending of the knees. Children fall easily without any visible cause. Also similar attacks of weakness with adults in the legs, so that in walking one foot glides this way and the other that way, etc. While walking in the open air, sudden attacks of faintness, especially in the legs, involuntary turning and twisting of the head or the limbs with full consciousness, sudden fainting, spells and sinking of the strength with loss of consciousness. Malaise, feels tired out. Constantly tired and sleepy, very little labor, exhausts him, exhausted after riding in a wagon. Very weak and miserable after suppressed itch, weakness of all the joints of the body as if they would not hold together. Debility independent of any organic disease, loss of appetite, tendency to perspiration on exertion and at night, after acute diseases, after protracted diseases or loss of fluids. After typhus, with despair of recovery, thinks he is very ill when he is not. Appetite will not return. In the evil consequences of suppressed itch, especially after large doses of sulfur. Frequent attacks of epilepsy, religious melancholy, improved. Epilepsy of various kinds. Loud talking, screaming during sleep. Somnambulism, he rises up at night while sleeping with closed eyes and attends to various duties. He performs even dangerous feats with ease without knowing anything about them when awake. Attacks of suffocation while sleeping, nightmares. Profuse sweating relieves all the complaints, chronic disease. Profuse night sweats of phthisis. Want of perspiration, dry skin, gripping pains about navel, cramps in stomach, painful stiffness of neck. The joints are easily sprained or strained. Softening of the bones, curvature of the spine, deformity, hunchback. Curvature of long bones of the thighs and legs, morbus anglicus, rickets. Abnormal tendency to receive, skin diseases. skin inactive, want of perspiration. Herpetic eruptions, eczema always worse in winter, intense itching, worse nights.